Good day, Tato. Welcome back to Wargaming Den. Little hobby update for you today. I haven't made any 1/72nd scale aircraft since I was about 12 years old, which is a long time ago now. This week, however, I've made 4 of them and surprised myself to actually thoroughly enjoy it, and I intend to get a few more. And the other thing I've been working on is making some aircraft stands for them, which I saw on a YouTube video and thought that's a great idea, so I had a go myself. Let's take a look. I picked up 3 of these things on Temu. They're designed to pick up screws and things, telescopic thingamybobs. But wait, what's their application for wargaming? Flight stands for aircraft. Work in progress. Do the job though. Need to put some weights on the bases. Might get some sinkers. Okay, so here you go. So these things are about $3 New Zealand dollars each, so next to nothing. The end down here unscrews, and that's so you can keep it in your pocket. So what I did is I just screwed them into a bit of MDF in from the bottom and into here, and then as you'll see I packed some high density foam around them just for a wee bit more stability. Okay, so here you go, bit of foam. So these have a magnet in the top. They've got a screw just in the bottom there, bit of high density polystyrene. So what I did along here though, I got a couple of about 2-ounce sinkers, one on either side, and carved this away a bit and placed those on, and then I built up my usual permafiller stuff around that to make the bases. And that was just to add a wee bit more weight to them. As you can see, these are 1/100 scale, a Hurricane and a Stuka. I've had about 20 odd years. Used to use them when Flames of War first came out. But these are a die-cast aircraft and they've got quite a bit of weight to them. So once you start extending the stand a wee bit, they get quite tippy. So I needed some weights on here to weigh them down a wee bit, which is exactly what I ended up doing. Okay, and here's the finished product. So the last couple of nights I've made a Brewster Buffalo in one of the British squadrons in Burma. It's an old Airfix kit. The original Buffalo I had years ago was a Matchbox one, and it actually had the decals for the New Zealand squadron in Singapore. I think it was 488 Squadron, but unfortunately this isn't that model. So yeah, I mean this kit is what, 50, nearly 60 years old. So probably not up to modern kit standards, but I've actually really enjoyed making them. They call them the Airfix Vintage range. So this is the Buffalo, and over here we have the Australian Boomerang, which is a very cool little plane as well. But you can see the bases. That's where the sinker is, permafiller over at the top. I put the polystyrene on just to give a wee bit more stability. I didn't want the stand. I was a bit worried that it was going to wobble a wee bit. Didn't have a lot of strength to that base, and that seems to have done the job quite nicely. First couple of planes. Got an Airfix Brewster Buffalo. I think it was about a 1972 or 75 tooling, and then an Australian made Boomerang. They made 250 of them. They served in New Guinea and Borneo. They had a great record as close support because of manoeuvrability. However, they're a bit slow, and their war record was 0 enemy planes destroyed. They were a bit slow, but they were just made out of bits and pieces that the Australians had
basically lying around. Bit of a stopgap measure, but pretty cool.
And the first two planes are made this week. So this is an old Airfix Japanese Zero. Again, not a bad kit. Enjoyed putting it together. And beside it, I think this is an Academy Kitty Hawk. And I think it might have been the 75th Australian Squadron at Mill Bay. I decided to do it in olive drab though, because I wanted to occasionally use it for games in Italy. In fact, that's what I'm hoping it'll be used for tomorrow. Not a bad kit, as I said. The only thing I didn't like about it is the fact it hasn't got a pilot. So I'm hoping to pick up a pilot for it tomorrow, and I'll then finish off the canopy. But as I said, nice kit to put together. They're a great wee build. So the Australians used similar camouflage to the RAF, but they also used olive drab quite a bit. Some of the Kitty Hawks came over were in the US olive drab when they arrived, and they didn't change them from there. So that will do for the colour scheme for now. But as I said, these are the first 1/72nd scale planes I've put together in over 40 years, and really enjoyed it. So definitely will be looking at getting a few more.
And the second two, an Australian Kitty Hawk, Japanese Zero. Very happy with how these flight stands. Oh, work. As you can see, I've just put a magnet on. That's magnetic. They're about $3 on Temu. Just made a bit of a base to make it a bit stronger. A couple of sinkers to add a bit of weight to the base so they don't tip, but with the plastic planes they just clip on. Magic.